I've been so chilled out. How's your how's your weekend been?
Oh, amazing. Really good. I was on Moon Time. So we just stayed in and I was reading all about Tantra and sex magic and yonis, and it was fantastic. It was lovely. Um, yeah, so we didn't really do anything apart from just sit and read all weekend. Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, so when did you do your art piece? Because I'm itching to see it live. I've
Just
got
one.
you can share screen as well. I love it. I can see it.
So I finished her on what day is it? I don't even know what day it is. I finished her on Monday. I've been working on her for quite a few weeks now.
Yeah,
So yeah, so I finished her on Monday. So she's done, and then I'm just waiting for a nice day to varnish, but it just keeps raining.
yeah.
So
Has
I
it
got,
been in there?
yeah,
Ah,
yeah. It's just, and it's like it'll be dry for maybe, I don't know, 2 hours or something and bright sunshine, but then it rains again. And when you varnish them, you need at least a full day to, it's because
really?
I've got to do it outside. Yeah.
Ah. What varnish do you use, if you don't mind me asking?
It's a spray varnish I use.
Oh dear, one of them spray ones.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah. Because some of the paint that I use is activated when it gets wet. So if you was to paint varnish on it, it'd just make it run.
yeah. Been there, done
That's,
that.
yeah, it's not good, is it?
Like you learn with the pens, don't you? As well. You learn with the pens. I use these pens for do you remember I did the Swedish project and I'd done that whole scene and done like I thought I was being a bit clever, you see, and thought, oh, I can just like draw them on all the windows because there were so many. Draw them
Yeah.
on and then varnish them and that. And it was like it weren't majorly bad, but it dripped down. I was like, oh fudge, that's not good. And
Yeah.
actually, do you know what? When Alex, who was, not in charge of it, but part of Co-Collective Moves, she was like, Lisa, it's all right because it adds to it. And I was like, but when you're just like, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
no.
Bad.
But actually, it did because of the scene and being in the late 18th century. So my point to this is I learned about pens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned about ink as well because when I had the space and it was really cold in there, I'd put an exhibition up and I'd not varnished my work. And
Right.
then when I came back the next day, because it was so cold, all the ink had dripped off my paintings onto the floor. So,
Oh,
yeah, I know. So I learned about ink then that they can't be in a cold place.
thank you for that. I'll write down that ink, not in a cold place. It's fun though, isn't it? How you learn all the
Yes,
time with that.
yeah,
So
yeah, it's mad.
eh,
And some of my first original paintings I did,
yeah.
um, I used really cheap paint because I couldn't afford any other paint, and thankfully I'd sold them to like close friends, and now they've just disappeared. There's no painting left. So you learn as you go, don't you?
I do. I know. Like emulsion is like your best friend, isn't it?
Yeah,
I was,
yeah.
I was thinking about that mural I did in Bulgaria, thinking like I think I used white paint. Oh, and them brush look,
Oh yeah,
they're amazing, they are.
I love them.
And so I was like trying to keep the cost down. So I thought I'll mix all my own paints. And so that's what I did. I mean, Barrett did buy some paints, but majority of it, I was like, emulsion and loads
Yeah,
of different jars and mixing them with this brush or stuff. And the pigments were amazing. I was like,
yeah, they're
I
super good.
proper like it. So my point to that is, have you any idea how you can stop them from? I mean, they are meant to do that, aren't they? These brushers, but it's rather difficult to like varnish over them because of the way that they are, aren't they?
Yeah, just spray. I just use spray varnish. It's
Yeah.
easier.
Have
And
it
do it
flat.
flat.
Have it
Have it flat, yeah, and spray
Oh,
it.
good. I did think
Yeah,
that. I did think that flat.
yeah. But get
I
get
feel
a
like I'm just
proper.
getting loads of info off you right now.
It's all right. Get a proper mask as well while you when you're varnishing. Don't varnish without a mask.
Right,
because
yeah,
it's spray, it
I
like you
know.
can breathe it in and stuff.
Yeah, I know. I've got to watch that right now because I'm quite sensitive, and I guess you're the same as well. Quite
Yeah.
sensitive to it. So, what paints do you use?
So I use emulsion. I love emulsion.
I do. Love it.
Uh, I use watercolor, gouache, and
Gouache, is that how you pronounce it?
gouache, yeah.
I
And
call it.
some acrylic, but I don't really like acrylic. It's a bit thin.
Yes.
Uh, so which is why I like the gouache. But I have learned that that's what gets you wet. So if you because I like painting in layers, but if you paint with that gouache and then say like it's dry and you go back over in another colour to do something else, detailing or something, the original colour reactivates and it makes a right mess. And it's like, oh, so that's a bit annoying.
On the gouache.
Yeah, so it's like a one colour thing. You can't really layer it up.
Right,
Uh,
got you.
yeah,
I'm
but
writing it down.
where's my paint I use? Oh, it's on the table. I got some of this acrylic, but it is quite dear. It's called, what is that called? So Golden Flat Matte Acrylic. Um, that
Oh,
that's a white one.
so
Um, but they're thicker than the crappy acrylics, the cheaper ones. Um, but you've just got to get what you can when you can, haven't you? Really, you know.
yeah, yeah. I know, like you, I've had to do everything on that kind of shoestring, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I'm same as you. You know, it's like I'm hoping that none of the artwork that I've sent out previously have got to pot because you
Disappeared.
having said that, the sculptures are not going to disappear, are they?
No,
Yeah,
no.
imagine them like over time. Like I did varnish a lot anyway, and I tell you what, I varnish a lot with PVA water. Like do your own mud.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I love Mod Podge.
I mix me own though. It's just water and blooming PVA in it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it, and just and then it dries clear, so it acts like a little bit of a layer over the top. But again,
yeah.
you can't use that with ink.
No, you can't.
No,
No.
or
And
brushing.
it doesn't have the UV in it either, does it? It's to make it light resistant, which the varnish does. So if people hang them in the sun,
Yeah,
they've had it.
yeah, that's it. I've had people take stuff away that's not really for outside. I'm like, it's not for outside, but I was like, oh, okay, okay then, because it's a
Yeah.
totally different ball game having stuff outside, isn't it?
Oh yeah, massively.
Yeah,
Yeah. I've seen loads of like commissions and stuff for outside things, and I've just passed them on to friends that do outside stuff because I just thought that's a whole different thing. I can't even be bothered getting into.
no, no. I know. When I did that gnome garden, I had a right because this wasn't like just a case of finding the right. Again, I was on a budget, and thankfully, on the second time that I did it, they paid for the paints, which I used Rust-Oleum ones actually. And again, so I'm always mindful of the fact that I don't like it to cost people a lot. When
Yeah,
I wasn't. It was anyway. It's a big story, but I'm going to cut it short. The second time I revamped these little gnomes and stuff, I was like, I think the second time it was all right, but the first time I was doing it, what I came to realize was this outside, especially where they were, and you'll know where I'm talking about, Solaris.
oh yeah,
Remember? So what I
yeah,
found when I was doing them, they were getting sandblasted from the sea. And
yeah,
it doesn't matter what paints you use because you see all the houses on the fronts. They use sandblasting for getting rid of paint, don't they?
yeah, yeah,
Things. So I'm like, oh, that's not clever.
yeah. That's a tricky spot, that, isn't it?
was. It was. I was just like, oh my days. And in the end, it came out. So I was like, oh, it's all right. Just
Yeah,
recycle them again. Yeah. But that was such a learning curve, that about glues and things like that.
yeah. There's so much in it to learn. So much to learn.
I know.
And if you can just go out and buy all this the proper stuff in the beginning, happy days, but not a lot of us can we? So you've just got to kind of work around things.
And you know what? I think this is what's taught us a new way, or not a new way, but the way to do things from a recycle point of view. Do you know what I mean? Because I do think we're gonna I just, it's a knowing. I just know that we're going to step away from a lot of these paints. And I know when I did, even before I was doing all my sculptures, that's what triggered my art off. I did this mural, and now I think about it, it weren't the best mural I did on my wall, but I was like, you know, when like your higher self just turns you and like, that's all right, that. And that's what kind of got me. And then I bumped into the driftwood, and that's how it kind of started. And so where I'm going with that is when I was looking at that, I had loads of ideas coming in, and it was about making my own paints. And I remember researching back then how to make my own paints, and I was like, well, that's not clever now. And I keep getting reminded of that recently. So there might be something in that. I'm not going to say on camera, but obviously using nature's own.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean? Like, I mean, it's not rocket science to work out that some of the older artists like Leonardo da Vinci and stuff, I mean, he did send off the pigments, but the pigments were used usually from crystals and things like that, pummeled down, weren't they? And clay. A lot of the Aboriginals use the paint and stuff.
And this clay and
yeah. And I think it'd be really nice to kind of go back to that genre.
Yeah.
I mean,
this colours are much more subtle as well.
That's it.
They're really nice. I've got some. Where is it? I don't know where it is. I've got a tin. So there's a. I don't know where it is, but there's a mine in the Lake District, and it's iron ore, and it stopped working, this mine, but they can still get the stuff out of the ground, and they make pastels and paints out of the ground. So there's like chalk and iron ore, and it's called Florence something or other. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, it was a really interesting visit, and they put classes on and stuff there as well. But while I was there, I got some pastels and some paint, and that was nice.
Was it really good to use?
The paint was not very good. It like absorbs the water completely, but the pastels are really nice to use. And I've painted with beetroot before. That was good, and turmeric. That's a nice colour as well, and blackberries as well. They give really lovely colour. But the beetroot's fantastic, so vibrant.
I know this is where I'm going with that. It feels like we could do something like that together. Do you know
together? What a bit together.
Together, yeah, together. Yeah, because like if you can use, I mean, I know you're so knowledgeable with stuff like that. Like avocado, if you're using avocado, like I think it's a seed. If you're doing like fabric printing, I think, does it not come up purple or something like that?
Yeah, it's purple, yeah.
And so if we could capture that, imagine like filtrating, and then do you remember the Bunsen burners at school? I'm thinking about getting a Bunsen. You know what I mean? Do it like the old-fashioned way, like copper and all of that. So it's like quite organic.
Yeah,
I'm getting excited in my heart now. So it feels right to be doing something like that.
Yeah, really lovely. There's a woman called Rebecca Desnos. Let me just get the thing. She's on Instagram. You'd love her, and she's got all different books and magazines, and they're called Plants and Magic.
Ooh.
And she's a wild dyer, so in her books it's all about different plants and stuff.
What's she called? Sorry,
Rebecca Desnos. She's called
Rebecca Desnos. How do you spell Desnos?
Desnos.
Sorry, B.
D for Delta.
Donkey.
Donkey, yeah.
D-E what?
S-E-F.
Nos.
N-O-S.
N-O-S. I quite fancy that.
Oh, you'd love it. And in it, there's all different, like dyeing your clothes naturally.
I want to do. Yeah.
She's got all sorts. So she's got all different issues of it.
Oh,
And then she's got another one which is all about, I can't see where it is. Oh, there. It's called Botanical Colour at Your Fingertips.
I
And
like
it's all
that now.
about making pigments out the earth.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I'm so glad we're having this conversation because I had no idea where the conversation was going to go. And that's why I want to keep this quite organic. And I got a tiny little bit nervous before, and I was like, just let that go. Just be in the zone. Do you know what I mean? Because I was a bit la la this morning. I was in nothingness. So I'm like, back in the room. You know what I mean? And this is the thing, we're not meant to like control it. It's like just let it go when it needs to go. And this is where I feel like, I mean, we've got a connection anyway, but I always knew that there was a bigger connection. And I feel like my heart's getting proper excited right now, Ruby.
I love that.
Because I posted, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, and I've been itching to get this for a while, so I just need to be so that this inner wisdom comes up from myself. So I'm not going to lie, it's kind of like been a bit dormant, but I know it's there because I know it comes up. But doing so much shadow work, it's kind of been left to the side. This, do you know what I mean? And now it feels like I've got all this stuff that's just going to burst out of me. The point to this is, I came across this guy. I think it was back end of last year, before I had my other dark night of the soul. And it's an old guy, and I can't remember where it is, but I put it on my timeline. It was a YouTube one, and it's about an hour long. But this old guy, he must be something like in his 80s, maybe older than that, and he's got this setup where it's everything to do with herbs and plants and different plants, and he's got so much knowledge, and he creates like oils and tinctures and things like that. And I'm like proper excited because I wanted to get a copper filtration system last year, but I didn't, I needed more flow. More flow for that because they're about 500 quid, 500-600 quid we're talking for the whole genre, because I want it to be copper and real copper. It has to be real copper so that there's no distortions in it. And then probably like, good quality distilled water or something like that, because there's some Jacobite roses here on the island.
Lovely.
And even though I know we have our own essence and smell of us, I just think just now and again it'd be quite nice to just that, that nice rose smell. And have like his heart vibrations in it. It'd be so nice to do stuff. And there's so much more stuff you can do.
Oh, there's loads, isn't there?
Yeah.
Loads. Have you heard of Juliet of the Herbs?
Who, sorry?
Juliet of the Herbs.
Juliet
of the Herbs. If you go onto YouTube, there's a full documentary of her. Oh my god, you're going to be in love with her, Lisa.
What's that? I'm doing nothing today after this. Nothing. I've just done 2 days of a thorough cleaning of a big farmhouse. So I'm like, my higher self's like, nothing. Okay. I'd love watching that on YouTube.
Yeah, you'll love her. She's fantastic. Juliet of the Herbs, she's called.
Juliet Herb. Of the herbs.
Of the herbs, yeah.
Yeah. I've always had this thing about herbs. Ever since I was a little girl, about herbs, having this little herb garden.
Yeah.
And I've got an allotment here in the past 2 years, again, because I needed more flow. It was like, I wasn't the best gardener.
Is it hard to garden on the island? Is it windy?
Yeah. But however, I just think, so there's a lady here called Jess, which is adorable. She's the first person I met before we even got on this island. And she actually moved us with one of her big boats. And she's adorable. Honestly, she's amazing. And she never stops. She's got her own seafarer business, which is excursions on the island.
Wow.
So she brings joy. And actually, when you go on these boats, it grounds you. You get off the boat, slightly sidetracking. You get off the boats and you're just like, yeah, right then. Alrighty then. Whatever. Life's good. Life's great. But anyway, she's like my neighbor on the allotment. And it's like, you know, when you look at allotment and you expect to see an allotment look like that. It's full. It's thriving. And it's like lush. In fact, do you know what the little sweetheart did yesterday? When I came back from work, there was a cabbage that size, you know, and kind of going round pointy.
Yeah.
A bit like a tulip.
Yeah.
And
I love
she one of them, so I was like, and I forgot blooming carrots now. I might see if she's got any carrots, never know. Because it's organic. It's organic. So my point to this is, because it's a slate island, these allotments are like 200 years old. And they're free. It don't cost you anything.
What? That's amazing.
It don't cost you anything. I know. It costs nothing. And
Wow.
I asked about it when I came to this island within 2 days of being here. I thought, oh, I'll just put a thing out. Oh, you can have mine. You can have mine. I was like, all right, okay. And it was a whole long story about that. But to cut off about Jess's allotment, it's like proper thriving. And the slate is okay because I think it acts a bit like, you know, if you were to put a plant in a pot and it's got that little roughage.
Yeah.
It's great. However, where my allotment, and I know for a fact she's got a big butt, so she ships like lots of soil in.
Yeah.
It does need more soil. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, I didn't have the floor to do that at the time because we'd moved twice within 1 year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It takes it, doesn't it? It takes a lot.
That's it. So, but her allotment's fab. And mine, I've not really done anything with it this year. So last year, I think I sacked it off. I did try again, and these pheasants, right? we have dogs and cats on the island, and chickens, and quail apparently, and we have pheasants. And I remember the first year we were doing this allotment, and I was like, Jess gave me this pumpkin plant. I was like proper excited, couldn't wait. And it was a boiling hot day, and the view from top, because it's, you know, a bit quite raised up, and then you've got the bigger hill, but it's quite raised up. The view is outstanding. It's so beautiful. And anyway, it nicked this pumpkin, and I was like, it's like this weird connection. This pheasant hopped on the wall near where Jess was in front of me, and I was there just taking a breather after I've been digging, and it looked at me, and I was like, I see you, don't even try, mister. And it was funny because it knew, and it was like we had a conscious connection. It was like hopping around while I was like, kept looking at me, it's hopping around the wall, this slate wall. I was like, I'm telling you, I'm gonna have you.
Oh my God.
If I don't eat meat.
Did it get the pumpkin?
Yeah, it had the blooming pumpkin plant amongst all the other stuff.
Oh, naughty.
Yeah, I bought loads of because it wasn't growing, and I was a bit late because of the time of year that I moved to the island. The local shop, which is 3 miles away and a ferry ride away, it had all these people who I presume were doing their own food and growing, and they had excess plants, and I bought a load. It was a donation, so I put a donation and came back with all these plants, but not being greedy, and put them in. I was like proper excited because I thought first didn't work, second didn't work, and I know what it was teaching me. It was teaching me about growth. And like, if you neglect your garden, you're not going to see the fruits of your loins, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's such a great, I mean, this is why we love nature so much, because, and this is why I don't like, you know, I keep asking myself about, because I used to be like, you know, into the Bible and stuff like that. And I'm far removed from that now. And I don't know, it feels like this needs to come. I'm kind of stepped away from that, because I'm like, why do we need, if we were supposed to be forgetting about stories, why are we needing to read the Bible? Why are we needing to read the Bible when, I mean, yes, it's a great book for lots of morals and stuff like that. However, why do we need to go back into the past when we're not in the past? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we learn everything from nature, you know, and this is the thing about growing. So that's what it's taught me. Like, if you neglect your crop, then you've got nothing.
Yeah.
And if you neglect yourself, you've got nothing. It's a whole big, we are the plants. If you don't put stuff out there, you know, and about manifesting and trust and faith, imagine like, you know, you've got the sunshine on you, which we have. And that once you've put something out there, what else can you do? Just expect the sun to bring it in. That's trust and faith, which is what I'm working on at the moment, by the way. I don't mind me saying. But it is, it's like if you imagine that and you being that plant, my universe is bringing this to me today. So I know for a fact that this is for me, but for
Yeah.
everyone as well. And
Yeah.
just be the plant and just trust and faith in that it'll come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to look after it, haven't you? You've got to give it water, give
That's
it light, give it good conditions.
that's
That's
it.
what we need.
That's
Light, water, good conditions.
that's it. Same as our bodies. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
And then we can
That's
grow.
it. Really, that's it. We're the plant, and we've got to love ourselves and nurture ourselves.
Yeah,
If
definitely.
if you don't love your plant and nurture itself, well, it's going to wither away, won't it? Like a plant would.
Yeah,
Wow, that's pretty amazing
definitely.
stuff, that, isn't it?
Yeah, totally true, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah,
I mean, you know, with
yeah,
the tree, with the plants, with everything, with the floor, with the water, the floor with the water. I think the Bible is outside. Don't need a book to read it. It's just being outside.
yeah,
That is
yeah,
our Bible.
definitely.
That's our teacher. And maybe that's what I'm supposed to bring in. In fact, I
Yeah.
know it. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's that awareness though, isn't it,
Yeah.
Lisa?
So,
I think people don't notice the stuff in nature. They don't. They're too busy in their own lives for whatever reason that they're not actually paying attention. But when you do pay attention, there is lessons in it. There really is, and everything's so connected.
that's it. I know.
You
And
know,
I've been same recently, and it's so easy to lose sight of that, you know, like when I walk my dogs and stuff. And I'm like, I got my Roxy and Gracie and that. And then last time I took them out, I was like, no, I need to just like not talk and just be.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. I've started doing that because I used to put music on my headphones while I walk the dog. Um, so I was more. I'd walk further because it wouldn't do my head in because he tries to eat everything. Um, and then lately I've been like, no, I want to listen. I want to listen to the birds. I want to hear what's going on. I want to be fully present in what's happening and look for things like just little things like this morning there was a mummy jackdaw and she was feeding her babies and these babies were so loud and I was thinking if I was that mother I'd be like shut up, you're driving me bonkers,
Yeah.
you know. And she couldn't get the cherries, it was cherries off the cherry tree that every year I go, this year I'm having some cherries off this tree. You can't reach it, it's massive. And every year the jackdaws eat all the cherries. So I was just watching them, and it's just little things like that. How many people would have just walked past and not seen what was happening here and not connected it to the cherry tree and you know how the cherries come out every year, year after year. That tree, year after year, produces loads of cherries, and the jackdaws know that every year they can go there and have a feast.
Yeah.
Like it's like there's a comfort to it. There's a comfort too that happens year on year, no matter what's going on in the world, no matter what's going on in flipping government or wherever else. It's a load of old nonsense. There's this comfort in noticing these things that happen over and over again. It's like you can rely on it,
Yeah.
and I think that's what people need to really tune into. You
Yeah.
know, it's our greatest teacher.
That's it. And what I'm getting at the moment is that being outside in nature is also where we're getting getting the majority of the downloads as well. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It makes total sense because we talked about that in a previous one, didn't we? We talked about how nature, like, you know, it releases that pressure from being what I call like a double matrix in your house. You're in a matrix and a matrix and
yeah.
compounding. So it would make total sense. And I don't know if you feel it. I mean, we did talk about that, but feeling it more so, it's almost like my consciousness is going up. Do you know what I mean when I'm outside?
Yeah, Yeah, there's a massive connection, isn't there?
Yeah,
I watched a thing last week. It was really interesting. I think I might have sent it to you. There's a video, and I don't know if I talked about this last time or not, but anyway, it's worth re-mentioning if not. He was on about infinity. So infinity just goes on and on. Now, if you take a piece of infinity, that's still infinity. That goes on and on, even if it's a piece out of it. And I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. So when something good happens, I'm always like, thank you, universe. And it's like the universe is up there.
yeah,
And I thought, hang on a minute, if that's the universe, and I take a piece of that universe, and that's me, I
yeah,
am that universe.
yeah.
And I was like, whoa. So this week, every time something good happened, I'm like, thank you, universe, thank you, me. You
Yeah,
know, like thank it, like we're all
yeah.
linked together. And I'd not put the two and two together until last week.
I love it. I love it.
Really.
I know, but
Yeah,
it happens when it happens, darling, because you've got that and I get it as I'm the stone and we broke off and all the little fractals and they went in. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing. Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? So we're all one in the fact that we all create our own things because we're all unique. But on a
yeah,
massive scale, this is how we're coming together, like creating it on a massive scale.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And what you know, all the ripples come out, don't they, from each person, and
That's it.
yeah, yeah. But imagine that. Imagine, I'm not knocking religion in any way, shape, or form, because I was brought up a Christian, and I know that I've had a really good, even though I think it's a load of rubbish now, there's loads of morals that have made me who I am. So I do, you know, I'm grateful for that. But I think instead of people giving their power away to some man in the sky or whoever they give it away to, if they realise, hang on a minute, I am that universe, I am that God, I am that one, we're all connected,
I
how much nicer would it be?
know. I know. I
Be
know.
so much nicer in so many ways.
It's funny because I remember, like you, was brought up in a religion. Again, I've never been bitter about it. I've seen other people be bitter about the religion that I came out, and I'm like, I'm not cool with it. I'm not cool with it because, and it's not, and actually now because I've learned more about it, that's how they feel. It wasn't how I felt. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean? I mean, I saw the corruption and things like that, and we were meant to. That's why we were in that religion, so that we learn from it.
yeah,
But we take, it's like anything with life. You take the good that you want to keep.
yeah,
You know what I mean? There were some beautiful people in that religion who I miss dearly, who were great.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And yeah, just take like what you say, the morals and the principles that they were, the principalities of it, and just disregard the rest. I mean, we know religion is just a total way of it's a distraction. It's
yeah. I got control.
to take you away, what I came to realize, that was my point, to take you away from your own God self. Because you think you're worshipping a God and you go to church and you go da 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 da. It's a deity. It's not. It's in you. Hello.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
No, you can
Yeah,
see where the
definitely.
distortion's been to, what do they call it? And it is a biblical scripture. Blind the minds of the unbelievers.
Yeah,
Yeah. I know I can't
yeah.
remember what scripture it was, but I know it's in
No,
there.
I don't. Yeah,
But this is what I'm saying. If you use that aspect of the I mean, these are still quite good quotes, I like to say.
yeah,
You know, there's
they
still
are.
quotes that, you know, until we get the original Bible and that. And I'm not hungry on that, you see. I
So it's just it's just a storybook, and it's got some really good stories in it with really good morals, and
yeah,
it's got some really good quotes in it. But it is a story. It's a story, but people believe the word of it
I
completely.
know.
And when they do that, they're disregarding all the other amazing things that are out there.
That's it.
You know.
Like getting out
Uh,
in nature and learning from that. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's like
Yeah,
I keep getting like this is very apparent. So we're all little fractals, or however you explained it, which I quite liked how you explained it. You know, and we come together, but we've still got that free will to create what we want to create for our own experience.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And I feel that with the inner wisdom that we have, with what we're creating and what we've learned through our life in this lifetime and maybe other lifetimes, it's all now coming together in this oneness of our own individuality as well. And that's why it's so crucial to be authentic. And I'm speaking to Mrs. Authentic. You know what I mean? It's like, we are the ones. We are them. Oh gosh, I've got goosebumps. I've got proper goosebumps. We are the ones that are the new Bible, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah.
We are. It's going through. We are the ones that are the new Bible. We are the ones, and this is why we're being called to be our authentic selves, because we are the new way showers in our own wisdom to bring a new way of being. That's why we've gone through what we've gone through.
Definitely. I love that.
Isn't it?
Yeah, so true.
I mean, it's not rocket science to work out, is it? But you know, it's funny how our universe gives us that little bit, that little bit, that little bit, that little bit, and then this connection. And that's why I wanted these connections.
And you've got to put it all together, haven't you? And then suddenly it makes sense, and you're like, oh,
Because
it's fantastic.
I had that thought. When was it? Not last week, week before, and I was like, there was an element of me. So I did this video, and it came from my heart, but then my self-doubt kicked in a little bit. I did this video about the Bible, about that, and I can't remember how the dialogue went because it came from my heart, but something along the lines of, you know, I don't think we need to be doing the Bible because it's like ancient times, and when we're here in the now, if we're meant to be forgetting about our own historical value of this lifetime, why would we need to dig up something that happened, you know, years and years ago? And then you get like, oh well, we're all in no time and space, and like, you're like, hey. but then, but we don't, because otherwise we're still in the same slot of believing in a Bible and not believing in our own selves. And that's what I've been getting. Gosh, this really needed to come out, didn't it?
Yeah.
And I couldn't I couldn't quite, you know, fathom it out. And this is why I'm so grateful for this connection, Ruby, and that you allowing me to, I mean, I know I don't need your, you know, allowance, so to speak, but to give us this space so that this comes out.
Yeah, no, it's perfect, isn't it? It is really perfect that it is coming out, because it's so true. It is so true.
I know.
And I don't know about you, but I have this weird thing of like, I think because I was brought up with it's almost like sometimes I revert back to things and go, oh, well, you know, in the Bible it said so and so, and then I'm like, whoa, 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 and I have to keep questioning everything and the truth, my actual truth, rather than taught truth.
That brainwashing structure, isn't it? Do you know what? And that's where I was going to go with that. So after I'd done it, I didn't release it. And now I know why I didn't release it, because of what you've just said. It feels almost like you're blaspheming. And I'm like, that's the brainwashing. That's, how can you blaspheme yourself for finding your own inner truth? You know, it's like, I can't swear. Well, I could swear, but it's not helpful. You know, how I can't blaspheme myself for telling the truth, and this is my truth that wants to come up.
It's crazy, isn't it?
So the Bible for me is nature. Learn everything from it. So you're going to share your amazing artwork today, and it's your new one, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the one I've done. It's an exhibition in August called Wise Woman. So basically my exhibition is about grandmothers. I didn't know my grandmothers. So I've painted 2 pictures of women that I would like to be my grandmothers. And then learning about grandmothers, I can't remember the details exactly, but basically our eggs in our ovaries are linked to our grandmother's eggs and our mother's eggs. So then I ended up painting this painting of me with a pregnant belly to link to the grandmother's eggs. And then this comes down to a labyrinth. And then the labyrinth's connected to a placenta in the ground where the new life's growing from it. So the labyrinth is representing the yoni. So back in the, however long ago it was, people would go into a cave, and in the cave would be a labyrinth, and they'd go in it for 3 days. And while they was in it, they'd walk the labyrinth and they'd get rid of their old life and their old ways. And then when they emerged after 3 days out of the cave, it was like they were reborn. Does that sound familiar, Lisa?
Yeah.
To any story that we might have been told? So ridiculous, isn't it? And the entrance to the labyrinth is like a portal to your yoni, and it's a journey, your journey of life. So then I was reading, and this hoppy Indian guy, a chief, had said that people in the Western world are really disconnected and are not rooted into the earth, because when we're born, our placentas are not planted in the ground. So in Native American and tribal traditions, when somebody's born, they plant the placenta in the ground to root them back into the earth, so they feel a sense of belonging to place. And we don't feel that over here. So that's why I've done the placenta in the ground as well. And of course, that's where all new life comes from. And then I've done it as the night on that side and the day on this side, because we're both the dark and the light.
Yeah, I love that. It's like a representation of that.
Yeah.
I've got proper goosebumps, you know.
Oh yeah, and it's got
This
different.
is going to be a big piece. You do know that, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. It's got the different elements in as well, of like the sun and the earth and the fire, you know, and all the different things.
Love it. And so this is what's quite interesting. Off camera, Ruby showed me this a little bit, and what I came to realize from my own perspective, that from a distance it looks like Lyran, but actually when you come forward, which you will do, Ruby,
it is me.
Yeah, it is you. Yeah. And it looks like you.
You can't really see in this light, but this is all gold leaf.
Yes, I can see.
And it's got all different elements of.
You're bringing the gold. It's a golden era. It's everything.
Yeah.
That's
it. And this part's got my moon blood in it as well.
Yeah.
To connect it in, which was really. This is a really funny story. So the other day, Tom was like, the dog's licking your painting. Why is he licking? And I was like, what? And I come in, I was like, get off. And it's because I'd put moon blood on it and not sealed it.
It's actual blood from your moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From my moon time, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so she's lovely.
Like your ego side would be like, that's grim. but from how you just explain the picture, it's perfectly the right way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. As soon as, well, not even, the paint wasn't even dry, and I sent the picture of it to my friend Angela, who's a doula. She's beautiful. And straight away she went, is it for sale? And I was like, well, it's for an exhibition, but if somebody wanted it, I suppose I would sell it.
Hold on to it for now. Hold on to it for now.
Yeah, and she was like, I want to buy it straight, and the paint wasn't even dry. I was like, what? But that was really interesting, because I'd been reading earlier about how in business we've been taught, even if you're a female business coach, you are teaching a masculine way of business, always going for money, profits, growing your staff,
feminine way,
being a boss babe. Do you know all this stuff? Like,
you hate that.
It's all masculine. And actually we need to step into our divine feminine, and that isn't about any of that. It's about flow. It's about rituals to connect us to everything and to be completely in flow. Now, as a business owner, it's really difficult sometimes, because the truth of it is we need money to live in this world, and that's just the way that it is, isn't it? For now, yeah. And so there's this real conundrum in your head that you want to be in the divine feminine, you want to step into flow, you want to be able to trust, you know, and then at the same time, it's like, but I have to pay the electric bill. It's this weird.
Because that's the distortion, and that's
Yeah.
that's the programming. So I'll just
Yeah.
share this little bit. When I've got myself in a pickle, and there were lessons, by the way, but it seems like I got myself in a pickle over the winter time that I had, and there were lessons, and there were harsh lessons I had to learn, and we're learning all the time. So I got myself in such a pickle. It's to bring us back to our God self. And when you're in nothingness, and this is the thing, and this is where trust and faith comes in, and I'm not saying I've mastered it yet, but I know this is my mastering going on. If you spend a whole day of nothingness, I don't mean nothingness like not walking your dog, but just test yourself to do a day of nothing, not thinking about your artwork, not thinking about, you know, letting your ego go, oh, I've got this bill to pay, that bill to pay, just like completely in nothingness, see what happens.
Yeah, I get that. That's why the other day I was totally in flow and I did my work as a ritual. Everything was as a ritual. And then I'd finished the painting. I sent it to Angela, not expecting anything. I just wanted to share it with her because I knew she'd understand.
Yeah.
And then there you go. The money comes.
I know.
And it's that lesson of just trusting that that's what happens and keep remembering. And I think I want to do a little disclaimer here. I think when you're in a lower vibration place and a place of not support and a place of lack through, you know, maybe no fault of your own in your circumstances, like when I was a single mum.
That's it.
You it's very hard to have any kind of trust in anything else because you're always living in that desperation of that moment. You're not being it physically or mentally. It's like you can't step outside yourself in that circumstance. So I think there's a thing here that we have to acknowledge that as well. Because some people might watch him, oh, it's all right for them, you know, like, and years ago, I would have thought the same thing. Oh, aren't they lucky they can do this? But actually, we've both tailored our lives to be able to be like this.
Yeah.
Like when I take 2 days off a month for moon time and I do nothing apart from nurture myself and read and journal and sleep, loads of women say to me, oh, it's all right for you, you can do that. And it's like, I've made that choice. I've tailored my life around that because that's important.
You made that conscious choice because you know that it's part of who we are as a divine feminine, and to allow ourselves that God grace to just be, and like I say, extra self-care and nurturing for that point in time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think everybody does have that choice, but I think when you're rooted in the poverty, and I don't just mean money poverty, I mean mind poverty as well, or support poverty, you don't have any support around you, or people that may think, you know, like we think. I think when you're rooted in that, it's really difficult to get out of that mindset.
Yeah.
But it's possible, because look at us.
Yeah. I mean, this is outside of myself, but I heard something the other day where apparently it's supposed to be 51% divine feminine and the rest 49%, whatever it is. I'm crap at maths. And it probably adds up. Of course it does. And masculine, but I don't agree because someone else then said it's like 3/4 divine feminine and 1/4 divine masculine.
Across the world?
No, not for us feminines.
Oh, okay.
So if you're a divine feminine, 3/4 of it to be in your divine feminine and 1/4 of it in your divine masculine, because the divine feminine, so you do the action taking and you do all that, but your divine feminine is the creator. Makes total sense. Whereas the divine masculine is the action taker, the passion, the trust, the faith, the moving forward. And the divine feminine is the one creating it.
But it should be equally balanced, shouldn't it?
But not when you're a divine feminine.
Is that it because you're in it too much though? Because I remember I was far in my masculine completely. I think we touched on this.
Yeah.
When you're a single parent, you're in your masculine because you've got to be the protector. You've got to do it all.
Yeah.
And then for me, learning to not be in that anymore. I don't need to be in that anymore because I've got Tom.
Yeah.
You know, I can be in balance with that.
Yeah.
And I think it sways. Like when we're doing tantra, I'm fully in my feminine
Yeah.
and he's fully in his masculine. But then in other circumstances, I think there's a balance of being in both.
Yeah. I
You
don't
know,
know. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
yeah.
Be whatever it wants to be for you. But I know where you're going with the yin and yang, because it's like balance is everything, harmony is everything, divine masculine, divine feminine. But I think because we're already divine feminine, there it's 3/4. I don't know. I mean, it would kind of make sense the other way as well, because you think, like,
Yeah.
okay, I've got Adrian, you've got Tom, and it's like, you know, they're the ones that providing it when you're holding space. So I know not to give too much of my personal value away in our personal lives, but I know when we first moved here, Adrian, well, actually, it was even before we moved here, I was in nothingness because I was like, you know, constantly like in consciousness. I was quite in consciousness.
Mm.
And so much so when I was in urban, I was like talking to the, you know, dandelions and stuff like that. And do you know what I mean? And myself a lot. And it was like I was in nothingness most of the time. And it was like his business was like doing amazing. And you could say, well, yeah, it was down to him as well. But I do feel that, like, when you got a divine, it's funny because we've got, I know what you think, it sounds confusing because we've got our own divine feminine and our own divine masculine within us.
Yeah.
But then when you're with a divine masculine,
Yeah.
it's like,
yeah.
balancing that ratio out. But I do know that when he was working and I was in total nothing, I weren't even creating much, actually, not even my art, which I kind of missed. But I couldn't, you know, I was doing a lot of healing and stuff in nothingness, and it was just like his business was like doing really well. And that's not to brag in any way, shape or form by any means. It's just I'm looking at more like the energetic value of that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it is really interesting because you're right, we've got it in ourselves, but then when you bring another person in, then there's a different balance, isn't there, in it as well?
That's where I think we're going with that. So
Yeah,
if you haven't, and you're a woman on your own, the old adage would be, because we've been single mums, both of us ourselves, we were probably more in our divine masculine because we were like, you know, I've got this to do, I've got that to do. I was working full time, and you're probably the same, working full time. I didn't even do my art then.
yeah,
You know what I mean, I did stuff with the kids and things like that, but it was like work.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And everything and anything job. Do you know,
yeah,
job,
because that's what you've got to do to
job.
survive,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah, that's it. And so,
Um,
like, I know I did some work yesterday and worked my backside off, and I know I'm learning some lessons as well at myself right now. And so, one of the lessons is to master the trust and faith. And it's funny because this is reverting back to the pickle I myself got myself into for the lessons that I needed to learn. To come back to yourself, to learn to trust your God self. And when you're in nothingness, I mean, I had Louise that helped me, I had Barrett that helped me. I'm grateful for their help. And God comes in all sorts of different ways and means. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And I also had someone else help me, Ruth and Dougal, on, because I slept in their shop. That comes in ways and means. Do you know what I mean? And was it ideal? No, not really. At the time, I was grateful for everything, and what I learned from that is, and even now, is to up that level of gratitude for everything. Like, to be, I think, to embody gratitude, I'm getting a lot of now, to embody that gratitude for everything, because everything that happens even throughout the day, even though we don't think it is, you know, like I did a bit of meditation this morning and the window was closed and I'm thinking, where's that coming from? I had a gust of wind on my head. And I was like, oh, okay, it was my higher self going, kind of, well done, you're meditating.
Yeah.
What you were going to do nothing. Do you know what I mean? And it happened twice. I kept looking up at my Velux window. It was like, it's totally shut. And like, be grateful for that, because, you know, we might not be able to see it. Or and like, we third eye, and some of us can, and we do. We have inner vision and stuff, but you can see stuff on outside, you know, when you're in your more higher consciousness, you can see shapes and patterns and stuff like that. And I guess that's where the gratitude comes in, because these are not just colours and shapes. Oh, that's a nice colour. Like, you see a room, oh, that's a nice colour. No, it's not. It's freaking awesome. Because you created that outside of you to have that experience of a heart-popping moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you've got to be grateful for everything that you've already got and you're already experiencing right now. Because if you're not, how then are you going to bring in the other things that you can't, can you?
I know, but I don't know about you. It's almost like we know all this. And this is the point where of higher consciousness and going into higher consciousness to really train that left lobe and that right lobe to be balanced, which is what I'm coming to now. I do this thing that I learned off somebody else, slightly sidetracking, of imagine, I think I've shared this once before, so I apologize. Well, no, I'm not apologizing because it's meant to come out again, but like, imagine like there's a figure eight, and there's a light going on and following it with your eyes. So I go like that, I'll go. and it actually does help to balance them out. Plus a bit of affirmations of my own, saying my brain is strong, I am strong, I feel strong, my brain is strong-willed, every cell in my brain is strong-willed. You know, and it does work. It really does work, and I can feel that that's getting stronger.
Yeah.
Now
It is that repetitive training, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to be pulled out of it. So easy.
I know.
With, you know, as soon as you go on your phone, or even if you, oh, hang on, I'm going to sneeze. Right, it's gone. Or, you know,
when that happens again, look to the light. It always makes you sneeze.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay.
I learned that myself. You know, when you want to sneeze and you look to the light and then it goes shoo.
Ah, right, okay. I'll try that then. Yeah, you know, or if you pop to the shop and then you just happen to glance at a paper as you're walking past us. Do you know, it's so easy to be sucked out into Muggle world, you know, and not stay in your essence and your gratitude, and it, you know, and I think this is why a lot of people just move away to the middle of nowhere, you know, to the forest or whatever, or yeah, to an island, yeah, you know, to because there's a thing, isn't there, where that would be easier to keep in alignment than everything that comes in.
Yeah, it's what like a lot of the Tibetans do, a lot of the monks do, and things like that. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I thought that when I'd moved to the island, but what I'm coming to have a realization at the moment is there's a lot of anxiety and stress here. Because I was like, why am I still getting this? Because I know it's not mine. And I was like, I literally got and I know whose it is as well. Do you know what I mean? I actually know which people it is.
Yeah.
At one point, when was it? Last year, I could hear conversations. And a knowing of what people were talking about. Some of it weren't pleasant because it was about me, and I'm like, I was not like, you know what I mean? But my universe was showing me that this is going to happen because a lot of us are going to be put forward in public eye, and that was like, you know, most of us have been in our caves, so to speak, but we are the way chose to be put in the public for whatever reason. And it's like a lot of that was daunting. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of, these triggers are training us for this, because there might be some negativity. I'd like to think there's not going to be any, and I'm going to put out that there's not going to be any, and not to learn how to deal with it and have that detachment where you just let it flow through you. It doesn't matter. It's not about you. It's about someone's perspective of you, but it's about them, their perspective of them. Just, you know, that's it. Yeah. I think we should cover quite a bit, don't we?
I know it's tricky, isn't it, to detach from stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
I find the more that I'm just on my own or just talk to like-minded people like you, for example, then I can carry on that path.
That's it.
But you know, as soon as you get out of that and talk to somebody else, that you go, oh, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Like,
No, it's almost like that's when you know that that was an illusion.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I've had it recently where I'm just like, I've almost had this like, maybe you call it a twilight zone, where I'm like, it feels a bit weird here. You know, sometimes I'll walk on the island and it feels like I'm here, but I'm not here.
like in a parallel universe.
Yeah, I'm like my feet are so light on the grass. It's like I'm here, but I'm not here.
Yeah.
And like I look round and like, yeah, I am here, but it doesn't feel like I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Right.
weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bit like the Truman Show or something.
Oh well, it's such a great analogy, that show.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's what we're in, aren't
Yeah.
we?
Yeah. It's
You're
so funny.
to get out of it totally.
Yeah.
While we're
Really
in it. While we're in it, and just see that, you know, that's no part of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh,
There's a guy called Bashir. I don't know if you've seen
oh,
him.
I've heard of him. Yeah, what? I followed him. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was on about how we've got these glass walls and they used to be really thick. So we'd be over here doing our thing, and people that are not aware would be over here doing their thing, and we couldn't see each other because the glass wall was really thick. And what's happened is it's got thinner and thinner and thinner to the point of you can be in the same room as somebody else and you are living a completely different reality than they are, and it's like they cannot see, no matter what you say to them or anything, they cannot
Yeah,
see it.
I've been in that.
And it's so relevant and it's so weird and so true. And I always think of that now because you know, if I am somewhere else, somewhere outside, and and I hear somebody else's conversation, and I'm like, did I just hear that right? It's so like so out there, but not like we are out there. Like it's so just I can't even really explain it, but I know you get what I'm on about.
Yeah, I do. It's like the veil's got thinner. So
Yeah, and
veil,
it's so weird.
yeah, it is. But
So weird.
I have had that experience quite a few times. So when, I mean, obviously Jonathan passed away, you know about Jonathan, and I had some really weird examples that I've not shared. So one of them was I might have shared it with you, I don't know. I think I might have done actually, but this is coming up now. So we had such an honest, open relationship. I don't mean in that way, but like so his bathroom was quite big, and I'm very open. I'd go and sit on bog, you know what I mean, and you know, do my thing. Well, he's just what I do. And actually, I was just going in the bathroom as he was coming out of it, but he disappeared.
Oh,
He disappeared, and I had that a couple of times before he passed away, and that was 3 weeks before he passed away.
wow.
And a couple of times we were on the tram in that duration, and he was sat at the side of me and his face disappeared. And it's only now when I look back that I know what was going on. It was like almost like he'd already gone.
Yeah.
I really feel like he'd already gone, but it was just his vessel that needed to give up. And so there's a couple of other experiences. I'm sharing this because it's quite interesting about the frequency, because I knew even then I'd done a lot of inner work. And I know it was a soul. I do now know it was a soul contract that if he wasn't like, you know, he was supposed to, but we set up a soul contract that, you know, if I was rising, he would, you know, have to leave the planet. Yeah. And he's now in another vessel now, I do believe. Yeah. And, you know, it's funny how we had this ornament, a Buddha ornament. It was an oil burner. And I think it had a tea light in it. And the water goes into it with oil. And he went out about a week before he passed, about a week before he passed away. And he went out and got a load of Buddha stuff. This is a guy that said he didn't believe in religion, didn't want all to do with religion because of his own stuff.
Yeah.
And we noticed, and we were drawn to it, that there was some wax coming down near the eye. And it was like, have you seen that? And I was like, yeah, but this is when I didn't believe that I even had an intuition. And now I was like, I've got the biggest intuition, just like there's no one. And it's funny because then weeks up to it, I was getting this something just niggling me, and I can't think what it is. And I was like some dread within my heart. And stuff. And there was a few other things that happened, but it was almost like the Buddha's saying, you're going to cry in that. And there was no reason for any wax to be from the oil bit, because there was no wax in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Water and oil. And then there was one where I had massive angel wings behind my bed. And I was like, you're up early. And he was like, yeah, I was up at 3:33. He said, by the way, just letting you know, because he was just very forthright. Do you know what I mean? It was like God first, think later.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, it's 3:33. He said, I got my note, it's okay. And so the angels, he said, I woke up at 3:33. He said, by 3 of your angels, and that was 3 nights on the trot after that. And it was within that week that he took ill, and then obviously, you know the rest. But like I had it a couple of times where that veil had thinned, and I do believe now. I mean, it's a whole big story to that, but probably talk about that on a different point. But it's quite interesting how I learned a lot about veils, and do you know what I mean? And not been, and even before that, there was some weird communication where I was talking and they couldn't hear me. I was like, "Did you hear me? Did you not hear, like, straight, I'm in front of you, not hear me?" Do you know what I mean?
So interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really interesting. And to reflect back on it now, you'll be able to see all the different things.
That's it. It's now looking back, my universe showed me all that, you know, what was going to happen, and even about, anyway, it's probably another video to talk about, or you know, if it's meant to. But getting back to the art, would you mind plugging yourself, my darling?
What, into the art?
We've got about 8 minutes and 6 on there. Yeah.
Plugging myself. What? So I've got a couple.
Like, share your website and that kind of thing would be nice to do.
Okie doke. So I feel like I have to step back into business girl now.
Okay.
After we've had such a esoteric thing going on, like, right, hang on, I'm a business girl, let me get my right head in. So my website is called dottydelightful.com. I'm Dotty Delightful on all social media, on everything. I have a Patreon, which is a monthly subscription, and on that I've got a zine club and an art club. And also you can just become a member for £1 a month and get access to loads of free stuff. So that's on Patreon, and I'm Dotty Delightful on that. I've got an Etsy shop where I sell all my zines, which are paper mini magazines all about nature, magic and connection. And I also sell my art on there as well. And I have got an in-person art retreat coming up in September and October. So it's for 6 weeks, and it's on Sundays. And it's going to be such a lovely thing. It's called Wild Creative Woman, and it's unleashing your inner creativity. So it's not just about coming and painting or coming and doing different art techniques. It's actually about tuning into that true essence of who you are, if you've forgotten, or are remembering, tuning into that inner child, tuning into that wise old woman that you're going to become. You're tuning into all these things and then creating, not from a mind space, but from a heart space. Yeah. And I'll be gently guiding them and leading them through a process over 6 weeks, starting off with the child and ending with the old wise woman. and it's just going to be fantastic. They'll learn all different kinds of art techniques, so it's very experimental, brusho, jelly plate printing, all sorts of stuff. And it's all about connecting with the senses and the elements and nature, meditation, journeying, writing, all sorts. And every participant will get a pack, an art pack that they can use and they can also take home. So it doesn't end after the 6 weeks. They can carry on doing it.
I love
really
it.
Excited about
That's
that.
amazing. I love it. I love the fact that people are going to be able to tune in and like express themselves. And I don't know about you at the moment. I woke up this morning quite excited because I got some invention that's got nothing to do with art. And I felt it bubbling for over the past week within my heart. And I know there's another level of art that's to come through my higher consciousness. And I have no idea what it is, but I kind of do. And that's just go with the flow. Just allow what's going to come in.
Yeah.
And actually, we are quite heart-centered artists. Because when you look back at all of our art and yours, it's always been about heart and nature.
Yeah,
nature
definitely.
Yeah.
It definitely is. Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm looking for some women to come and join me. I've got a couple of women signed up, but I'm looking for some more. And it's going to be a small group, 6 to 8, so I can work one-to-one with them as well. I don't want it to be massive.
Yeah, great.
So
I love it. It's created already. You've got loads of people coming.
Yeah, definitely. And that's in Lancaster. And then I'm just working on a Devine Feminine zine at the moment. And let me show you what I've been painting yesterday, Lisa.
About 4 minutes left. Not to be crucial on time. I love that.
Sacred Yonis. That's what I've been painting.
Oh, I knew Sunnies were going to come in.
Yeah, Sacred Yonis. And then I've done another one as well. It's just drying. And then I was thinking about the lingam and the yoni. So I've drawn a sketch out of them to combine. So I'm going to paint that later on. And I'm really excited for that because there's so many people looking for partners and not seeming to find anybody that's completely connected. So my idea is to paint a sacred yoni and lingam, or a yoni and a yoni, depending on what your preference is. But and they can have these in their bedrooms, and they will get some affirmations to say with them and things like that. And
brilliant.
So they can talk about
fannies next time if you want.
Yes.
Should we put art of being a fanny? Or your
the divine connection to
divine connection, your sacred sexuality, and your
What's great is when you do that with your hands as well, it is actually like a yoni.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And if you put your feet together like that, it is.
Shape yesterday.
What's that?
A cabbage that Jess gave me with that shape yesterday.
Oh yeah. You will have been.
Cabbage. Anyway, we'll leave it there, darling. We can talk all about that next time and share them again. That'd be lovely. All right.
Brilliant. I'll have more about it. Lots of love. See you soon.
Bye.